Now, here's your host, Bill Teegins.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. A rough week for the Cowboys in Big A play. Coach, it'd be nice to get everybody healthy and to make some shots. It's really a struggle right now, isn't it?
When you can't get the ball in the basket, you're not going to win, and we are having a horrible time trying to score, especially at the line. The other night we played Nebraska. We shoot 34% from the field and hit 11 out of 24 free throws. When you do that, you put so much pressure on your defense, and our defense was really good against the Cornhuskers, but it's hard to win. And we had opportunities. I think we pulled within 3 points on 4 different occasions there in the second half and just couldn't get over the hump. But as soon as we can get everybody back and healthy, I think this ball club is going to win some ball games. But right now, it is a little frustrating, I think, for the team and certainly for the coaching staff.
Well, let's head out to Gallagher Ive Arena. We'll check the Cornhuskers out. And obviously, Coach, this is a much better team than a lot of people thought going into the season.
Well, there's many people think that they're the second most talented team in the conference behind the University of Kansas, and I certainly wouldn't disagree with them. Nebraska's playing better defense, and as a result, I think they're playing much better on the road. They've always had a tough time in the period of time I've been here at Oklahoma State, maybe winning on the road, but their defense is solid, and they certainly have a lot of offensive weapons.
Nice job there.
Good back screen, and we broke Andre Owens free for an easy layup. Good pass into Lambert.
You know, with Maurice injured, Jerome's really had to step up his game. He's played well. He's gotten into foul trouble sometimes, but he's given you great effort, hasn't he?
Well, he certainly has, and he's playing a little bit out of position. He's not a center, and we're asking a lot of him at both ends of the floor to have to play in that position. And when Robinson gets back, that will probably help this ball club a great deal because we can afford to lose a perimeter player. We're fairly deep there, but on that front line, as you well know, we're very thin.
Nice entry pass from Keone right there.
You'd have never known we'd have lost this game just looking at Dorado's highlights here.
Tom did a nice job here.
He sure did. That was Chad Alexander. And Chad, we started him the other night at Kansas State, and he responded. We felt like we needed to get some more offensive punch in the lineup, and he's become a better basketball player in other areas. We always knew he could score.
He's more confident, isn't he?
I think so, and so we started Chad along with Peterson, which gives you 2 good perimeter shooters. There's Pete very alertly picking up a missed shot and hitting about a 12-footer.
Keone showing some outside firepower there. He doesn't shoot from outside very often. Boy, they've got some real scorers in that team too, don't they?
They had 4 people in double figures. Garner is a junior college transfer who's really helped their ball club. He's a power forward, about 6'8". We all know about Strickland and Boone, 2 terrific guards. And Terrence Badgett comes off the bench, and he really hurt us in this ball game. He had 12 points. Mikey Moore is a much better center than he was a year ago, and they've got a freshman, Hamilton, about 6'10". So Nebraska's a very good basketball team. The other night when we were beaten by K-State, Missouri's always played very well in Lincoln, and they were beaten 18 points by Nebraska. So Nebraska's definitely a contender for the conference title at this point. There's Jason Scare. We got down in this ball game in the first half, and we told them the 2 things were really keys. One, transition defense, because nobody runs the floor better than Nebraska. And we gave up 5 layups in the first half. Second half, we didn't give up any. And the other big key was defensive board play, which we did a great job.
Well, you guys, it seems like each game about a 3 or 4 or 5 minute span where you can't buy a basket, and of course, you say, so much pressure on your defense.
Well, we've always had go-to people. You know, Big Country, Rutherford, Brooks Thompson, Houston. I mean, since I've been here, and this year, we just don't have that one person that you can go to when you really need a basket. And we've started 8 different starting lineups, which I have never done in my whole coaching career. And when you look at our season averages, I think Keone leads our ball club in scoring with 12, and that's very low for a basketball team to have your top scorer only scoring 12 points a game.
Yeah, you like a balanced attack, but you'd like some people who can step up and do it for you. But, you know, your defense and your effort's been good throughout.
Well, no, the effort, you can't fault that. The players have certainly given completely of themselves. And we're going to get them straightened out. You know, we got a few days here before we play again, and then even though our next game is going to be probably the toughest game on our schedule, and that's going into Lawrence, Kansas, playing the Jayhawks in Allen Fieldhouse. But after that, we come home. We've got a lot of games. We got 5 games left at home, and I think it's a realistic goal that we can win all those, and hopefully we can get on the road and win a couple.
Sure is good to be home. I mean, even though this was not a win in the Nebraska game, you can tell how much the fans mean to this ball club.
Well, Chad Alexander led us in this ball game with 12 points. I mentioned our shooting percentages. Rebound-wise, they beat us by 2, which, you know, in most cases, everything else is even. You're going to be okay. We forced them into 25 miscues late in the game here. We pressed and forced them into some mistakes. And as I said, we got it down where we had a chance to win it, and we just couldn't get the ball in the basket. There's Boone, who, along with Strickland, certainly are 2 of the top players in the Big 8.
You know, your press has obviously been a key factor in each game, but it's hard to press for too long when you don't have that many people on the bench. It's hard to go to everybody. They wear out.
Well, the other night when we played in Manhattan, we only had 7 scholarship players on the bench, and it's pretty hard to go out and press because it is fatiguing. When you press, well, you got to have a little more depth than what we have right now.
What about the attitude of the guys? Do you have to pump them up? They're not used to what's happening right now either.
Well, I think probably the biggest adjustments for me, because I'm not sure I've ever been in this situation before, but I know that as long as we continue to work hard, we are going to get better and we're going to win ball games. And it's easy to reflect on last season, what a honeymoon that was. And I guess sometimes you need to have adversity because then you appreciate the good times. But I think the attitude of the squad is excellent. And if we can get everyone healthy and just improve in certain areas, then this basketball team is going to win some games. I mean, we've already proven that at times we're a good basketball team.
Well, there's a lot of the season still to go, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the Kansas State Wildcats when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. Cowboys on the road in Manhattan, Kansas. Coach, in that game, we saw something we don't normally see from the Cowboys.
That is true. We played zone for 37 minutes. I talked to James Dickey, the head coach at Texas Tech, and Tim Jankovich at the University of North Texas, who was both those guys were my assistants earlier in the week after this ball game, and they couldn't believe I'd played zone that long because that's the longest I've ever played in all the years I've coached in one ball game. But we felt like it was imperative that we do that because we only had 7 players on scholarship suited up. They have a terrific inside player in Davis, and it was really a matchup problem for us because they have Ecker at 6'11", and we knew that Jerome would have to cover him, and either Keontae or Jason would have to cover Davis. We just felt like we'd really get in foul trouble. So we played zone, and I thought the zone was very effective, and we held them to 62 points. And you're going to see us play some more zone until we get healthy again, especially on the road.
Short-handed really changes your game plan, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and Randall Dickey scouted this team and really had a great game plan for us, and our players executed it well. Again, the defense was good. There's a good anticipation on the part of Keontae Roberts, who ran through a pass and went down and laid it up. But again, our inability to hit some shots, maybe in key opportunities, and missing free throws. We missed 3 out of the last 10 free throws we shot, and for the game we were 12 out of 22. And you're just asking for problems when you can't hit those free pitches. And hopefully we can get these guys where they start hitting a little bit better. There's a nice shot by Jason Scare. Chad Alexander, as I mentioned, he started in this ball game. We left Andre Owens home, and we can talk about a little bit about that when these highlights are over.
There's Chad again. You said he gets the start. He played pretty well last night. Finishes with 7 points, hit a tray.
Well, he hit 2 trays that didn't count because we got called for offensive fouls, which, you know, you take one of those baskets in the game's tied, you take both of them. And sure. So he's shooting the ball well. And I think that's the tray that he hit. Marlon Dorsey played better than he's been playing.
How about Jason? How would you say he's playing right now?
Well, Jason has been playing in spurts, in my opinion. I saw him the morning after this ball game and told him he needed to get out and look at this film because I think he can learn a lot from watching the K-State game because he did some things well, he did some things that he just needs to get better at doing.
There was Dorsey, you mentioned him. Again, your defense obviously good enough to win games. You're playing very well. And look at Dorsey off the run.
Well, we're going to fast break anytime we can, but there's a guy that we really did a good job on. Hatcher's one of the best perimeter shooters in our league. And there's Peterson. He led our ball club with 18 points. And we really concentrate on Hatcher, but some of their other players step forward. K-State's a good basketball team, very solid basketball team. Their team and Iowa State's very similar. They both have very good, one outstanding guard and an outstanding inside player, and all the other players know their responsibilities and their roles, and that's why they're winning.
You got down by 10 late in the game. Peterson started hitting some big shots for you. You almost ran the same play, and here he goes again.
We call that wing through. They're playing a zone. They played man probably 30 minutes and maybe zone 10, and we set some screens for Pete, and boy, he responded. He stepped up. He was 4 out of 4 from three-point land.
18 points, and I mean, he really kept you in the ball game down the stretch. Here he is again.
We pulled to 2 points there. You can see we score and call timeout, and there's Sean Patton, Adrian on the fanny.
Obviously, you got a game now. 2 minutes to go. It's a 5-point game. Here's your defense again.
We press. Good lead pass to Keontae. Great anticipation there.
Press, obviously.
Nice lead pass.
Did things to Kansas State, didn't it, down the stretch?
Yeah, we play them again here. We'll probably, you can press and you have that home crowd. I mentioned about fatigue, but I think by the time we play K-State here, we should be healthy again. And the press certainly did get us back in the game here. We had 2 possessions to tie the ball game, and Pete, he felt badly after the game because he tried to throw a cross-court pass and it was intercepted, and then we fouled and they missed both free throws, and we got the ball back again with about 4 seconds, and Dorsey shot a desperation shot. But I cannot fault the effort in this game. I thought had our team played as well as we did in some of the other contests, we wouldn't have lost. We only turned the ball over, I think, 9 times.
Mm-hmm. Here's the end of the game.
Yep, that's a desperation shot. But I felt better after the game, and you never want to accept defeat, but I really believe that maybe our ball club learned some lessons. You know, a year ago when we went into Michigan State, we lost the game, but after that we really got on a roll, and I think this ball club, certainly not as talented, but I think it's a ball club that, as I mentioned earlier, can win a lot of ball games. The season's not over yet. I left Andre Owens home. I feel like that, you know, I'm an extension of the family. I'm a parent, and one of our responsibilities not only to teach young people basketball, it's to teach them what's going to allow them to be successful. They got to understand responsibility and what their priorities are. They're here to get a college education, get their diploma, and you certainly can't get that if you don't go to class. And we had warned, in fact, we had punished Andre on a couple occasions where he'd missed class, and I told him, if you miss again, then I'm just going to leave you home. And I think it really shocked him, but hopefully some of our younger players will fully realize that we expect them to go to class. And I hope that Andre learned a lesson, and he'll respond in a positive manner and come back and help this ball club.
Well, rules and regulations are important to everyone. They are to the NCAA as well. When we come back, Tom Dorado will take a look at compliance, working by the book here when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. We talked about rules and regulations. The NCAA has a myriad of those. And in an off-the-court feature today, Tom Dorado takes a look at the man in charge of that department at Oklahoma State.
His title is relatively short and to the point: Athletic Compliance Coordinator. His name is Bob Burton, and not widely known outside the athletic department, he is indeed a key staff member here at Oklahoma State. Well, Bob, it appears most athletic departments around the country have someone like yourself to oversee the X's and O's of compliance.
At this time, I'd say every NCAA member institution does have a compliance coordinator. That person sometimes performs other functions, but I would say the top 60 Division I institutions have an individual who performs that job that's their full-time responsibility.
You work with every coach within the department. That's a lot of meetings throughout the year.
Well, one of the things that I implemented when I came to Oklahoma State is I wanted to make sure that the coaches had all the educational materials that were coming out of the NCAA. We currently have in place mandatory coaches meetings, and we have those on a monthly basis. I do try to meet with the coaches every day. I walk around and make sure that if they have any interpretive questions that they need to have answered, I make sure that I get those answers to them, and I make sure that the answers they get are within NCAA rules and regulations.
That NCAA manual that you refer to so many times throughout each day, it has an intimidating look, but you don't look at it that way.
Well, the manual itself has really evolved into what I would say a manual that's user-friendly. The recruiting section is what the coaches deal with on a day-to-day basis, and I try to make sure that if we're in an area of eligibility or amateurism or playing and practice seasons, that I try to get that information to them so that they don't have to spend their time diving into those bylaws. But I do like them to spend a lot of time on the recruiting bylaws, which is a small portion of the manual.
Would you describe your job as preventative in nature?
It is to some degree. We definitely want to make sure that we don't run afoul of any NCAA rules. What we're trying to do now is actively educate not only the coaches but the student athletes, administrators, so that we're acting rather than reacting.
Bob, OSU was recently certified by the NCAA. Explain what that means.
Well, the NCAA has taken what's called the NCAA certification, and they send a peer review team onto the member institution school, and they review what we currently have in place in 4 areas: academic integrity, fiscal integrity, governance to rules compliance, and student-athlete welfare. And that peer review team came in and reviewed what we currently have in place in regard to those 4 areas and found that we were in compliance, and compliance without any conditions. It's basically telling the rest of the nation that OSU has made tremendous progress in those 4 areas. It's something that we should be very proud of. We need to continue to strive towards commitment to NCAA rules, compliance, and carry us on into the Big 12 where we can be very competitive. Right now I feel that we're headed in the right direction. We're going to be a very strong contender in the Big 12.
I'm not sure what we pay Bob Burton, but we don't pay him enough because he knows that NCAA manual from front to cover. And the one thing that's neat about Bob, because he did work in the NCAA office, he can pick up that phone if he's not sure and get an answer right away. It's a different time than it used to be. And if you don't have someone like Bob Burton to answer questions for the coaches, then a lot of times coaches can violate a rule and not even know it. And that NCAA manual is about that thick, and sometimes when you try to look up something, you don't have that. So the addition of Bob Burton here at Oklahoma State has been a real bonus.
Well, what an important job that is. And when we come back in the Eddie Sutton Show, we'll take a look at what's ahead for the OSU Cowboys. That's coming up next. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. The Cowboys with just 1 game coming up, but it gets a lot easier. Coach, you just go to Kansas.
You know, it used to be in conference play you would play like 7 Big 8 schools and turn around and play them again. But with television, they dictate the schedule, and this will be, I guess, our 5th conference game, and 2 out of the 5 have been with Kansas. But it's always an interesting experience when you go into Allen Fieldhouse. You remember last year when Rutherford got 40,
right.
What was it, 45?
45
up there, and they was playing for the league championship, and they shut out Bryant Reeves in that game. And you know, a week earlier or a couple weeks earlier, he had that great game against the Jayhawks. But I always enjoy playing Kansas. It's always a fierce, competitive battle, but it's a clean contest, and we got a few days to get ready for them. But they may look at our zone as K-State did, because I'm not sure we can cover those guys man-to-man either. You know, one thing I always mean to mention, high school basketball. You know, we have some great high school teams, and they certainly deserve the support and attention of the fans in their area. And I hope all of our people will get out and support high school basketball. You know, with the fact that we're open this weekend, I'm going to go out and see a couple of high school games.
It's a great time because they're not that far from playoff time in high school basketball. That's our show for this week. Coach Sutton, I'm Bill Teegins. We'll see you next week on the Eddie Sutton Show. So long, everybody.